Welcome to Dubai Revealed. We're diving deep into this incredible city.
Your ultimate guide to this incredible city. If you want more exclusive insights into Dubai,
join us for the expat reality.
From these historic gates to the soaring skyline, welcome to Dubai Revealed.
By the early 1950s, Seef was facing an existential crisis. The pearling industry was a memory, and the very water that gave life to the city was turning against it. The creek was silting up. Silt and sand carried by the tides were creating massive underwater banks. At low tide, even the smallest wooden dhows would scrape their holes against the bottom. If the creek closed, Dubai would die. It would become just another forgotten desert outpost. Enter Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum. He didn't have the oil wealth that his neighbors had not yet. What he had was a vision for a free port. In 1958, he made a decision that many called a fool's errand. He took out a massive loan from Kuwait to dredge the creek. Imagine the scene at Al Seef in 1959. The quiet of the morning is shattered by the mechanical roar of the first dredgers. They weren't just moving sand. They were carving out a future. They dug the channel to a depth of several meters, allowing steel-hulled ships from India, Iran, and East Africa to dock directly at these banks. With the deeper water came the merchants. Al Seef became a beehive of global commerce. This was the era of the re-export. If you stood on the Al Seef docks in 1965, the air wouldn't just smell of salt, would smell of the world. Huge crates of Swiss watches, Japanese transistors, and British textiles were piled high on the sand. Why? Because Dubai had no taxes. It was a trade gateway where the rules were simple. If you can bring it here, you can sell it here. This is when the architecture of Al Seef evolved. The simple palm frond Irish huts were replaced by permanent coral stone and gypsum structures. These buildings weren't just homes, they were warehouses. The ground floor was for the good sacks of rice and spices, while the upper floors, cooled by the towering Barjeels, were where the merchant families lived and negotiated. Every sikka, the narrow alleys you walk today, was a deliberate design. They were built just wide enough for two men to pass each other while carrying a heavy crate, yet narrow enough to keep the midday sun from ever hitting the ground. But trade wasn't the only thing flowing through Al Seef. It was the birth of the cosmopolitan Dubai. Because of these docks, the Al Seef area became a melting pot. Persian merchants brought their intricate tilework designs. Indian traders brought their spices and the vibrant colors of their textiles. This wasn't just a local village anymore. It was the first global village. When you look at the weathered walls of Al Seef today, you aren't just looking at a design choice by an architect. You are looking at a recreation of the era when Dubai learned how to talk to the world. The scratches on the wooden doors, the heavy iron rings used to tie up the dhows, the rustic texture of the plaster. These are the fingerprints of the men who built a city out of nothing but a muddy inlet and a massive amount of ambition. By 1970, Al Seef had become the most valuable real estate in the Trucial States. It was the proof of concept for everything that followed. Without the success of the Al Seef docks and the dredging of the creek, there would be no Jebel Ali port, no Dubai Marina, and no Sheikh Zayed Road. The creek was the training ground. Here, at the water's edge, the Maktoum family and the merchant tribes of Dubai learned how to build a world-class infrastructure. They learned that if you build the harbor, the world will come. As the sun sets over the modern skyline today, the shadow of the Burj Khalifa stretches all the way back here, to the Al Seef shoreline. It is a reminder that the tallest building in the world stands on a foundation laid by the dock workers and dhow captains of the 1960s. To understand Al Seef, you have to understand the heat. Before the luxury hotels and the chilled malls, the people of the creek had to solve a lethal problem. How do you survive 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, with nothing but the wind? The answer is the Barjeel or wind tower. These aren't just decorative chimneys. They are a masterclass in passive cooling. Look closely at the towers in Al Seef. They are open on all four sides. This was a stroke of genius. No matter which way the Shamar wind blew, the tower would catch it. But it's more than just a scoop for air. It's about pressure. As the wind hits the tower, it creates a high-pressure zone that forces the air downward. Because the houses were built with thick coral stone and gypsum materials, with incredible thermal mass, the air stayed cool as it entered the rooms below. On a scorching July afternoon, a well-built Barjeel house could be 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the street outside. This is the old Dubai version of a smart home. Even the placement of the houses was calculated. In Al Seef, the buildings are packed tightly together. Why? To ensure that for 80% of the day, the seekers, the alleys are in total shade. These narrow paths acted as wind tunnels, pulling the sea breeze from the creek through the neighborhood, like a natural exhaust system. But here is the secret of the Al Seef you see today. Much of what looks 100 years old is actually less than a decade old. We are on a mission to document the evolution of the world's most ambitious city. To make sure you don't miss our next deep dive into the skyscrapers of the future, hit subscribe and turn on the bell notifications.